Unfortunately, I grew up in a society where there wasn't a lot of education about trans people. There wasn't a lot of awareness about trans people, and really the only trans people you saw visibly were being exploited on programs like Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, Jenny Jones, etc. And it was always in a narrative of that these women were tricking men, or either that they're sensationalizing around their bodies. Like, can you believe these women were born men? And it was great to see these people because these people were beautiful, but the way they were being depicted was just actually awful. I didn't see these women as predators. I didn't see them as these deceitful liars that were out to trick people, because it seemed like they grew up feeling like I grew up, and they just wanted to become who they felt they were inside. So the terrible exposure of that kind of narrative really helped shape how society viewed trans people. And then growing up in a community of color, but also going through education in private schools and Catholic schools for most of my life, and realizing all these just all these different dynamics that didn't only affect me and how I identified in terms of my gender, but how I stood as a person of color in America. In certain socioeconomic classes, and amongst other socioeconomic classes. And so because of all of that, I went through a lot of my life repressing who I was, and trying to keep it as bottled in and as deep down as possible. And I did a pretty good job at it. I faked my way through most of my adolescence. I gave the perception that I was a happy teenage male. I was on the football team, but I was also doing band camp. I was also in the theater. I always had like this eclectic array of influences. Because I grew up in a household which diversity was celebrated, even though I didn't feel safe coming out at a younger age, because I knew there were just family expectations, and I felt that I would have just lost everything if I had decided to make any kind of decision and not do any repressing during my childhood. It was a really dark period that lasted from the age of 4 until about the age of 16, when I realized exactly who transgender people were. Thankfully for the internet, I started to find support groups, and I started to find online communities of trans people. And I began to talk to people and talk to them about their journey and talk to them about what their life was growing up. And I found within that solidarity, and I found within that community, and it helped me understand better who I was through understanding other people. And that was really important. If it wasn't for those online communities, I can't quite say where I would be right now. Because of that, I went into college with a better understanding, but I was going to college in a rural town, and there were enough racial implications of me being there, and then to add anything on top of that. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Paris is Burning, but they make a great analogy in Paris is Burning, in terms of how color, skin color, race, and sexual outcasting or gender outcasting, in terms of anything that deviates from heteronormativity or cisnormativity, and just how many strikes you're disposed with. And being born, as they said in the movie, being born black and male, you already got 2 strikes, and then if you're going to add some form of LGBTQ identity on it, you already have 3 strikes. And I felt that very much in real time growing up, not only in my own communities in terms of black communities, but in terms of academic communities, and just the general culture of the areas I was living in. It wasn't very accepting of anything that wasn't cisnormative or heteronormative or ethnocentric, which led into suppression. And when I went into college, it was kind of the same boat. And I went through college being able to understand myself more, but also still repressing a little bit. And until the point where I kind of just stopped caring. And I started to reveal slowly who I was and how I identified.